House Republicans pressuring CDC Director Rochelle Walensky to do better while criticizing school mask mandates. Several lawmakers writing in a letter, quote, CDC is undermining its own credibility as it continues to jeopardize an entire generation's development.
Kentucky Congressman James Comer signed off on that letter. He joins us now to react. Okay, so Congressman, you've got other countries who are literally pushing back on all of these mask mandates for kids. They're saying it's not healthy for them, not to mention the developmental issues. But when it comes to the issue of Omicron, Todd and I were talking. I personally don't know anyone that had anything more than maybe a severe cold with Omicron, and now all of a sudden there's this push for this mask mandates. You heard him talking about the vaccines for really young kids. When is the CDC going to step in and take responsibility for this, because this is affecting their health crisis? When are they going to step in and say, enough is enough, and who's it going to take to help these kids? Because somebody has to help these kids.
That's exactly right. And we hear from parents every day. I have 3 children in the public schools. Enough is enough. What Steve Scalise and I put in that letter is we're requesting the decision to continue with the mask mandates, because we haven't seen anything out there. We hear from speech pathologists. We hear from different teachers that are trying to work with children that have mental and developmental disabilities, and it's only getting worse. I wear hearing aids. The masks are terrible for people who wear hearing aids. There's just so many problems with hearing, with trying to develop speech, and just with the mental capacity as a whole. So what we're asking for is a scientific basis for it. We don't believe the CDC obviously has factored in mental issues, developmental issues in this decision making. So, it looks to me like whoever's made these decisions with CDC, they either don't have children or they don't have children in the public schools, because this has affected a whole generation. Enough is enough. And if they can't produce the science, then they're going to have to reverse the decision.
Congressman, it's not just you. A lot of people have pointed this out to the administration, yet it seems, despite the repeated warnings, this administration does not seem to care about what their rules are doing to our kids, and that's frustrating. Keep us posted as to where your letter goes. Before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on this. Joe Biden and Congress staring down an absolutely daunting month as the Russia-Ukraine conflict potentially escalates. Supreme Court pick, that happened last week, and of course a China bill looming. Taking this from a 30,000-foot perspective, is Joe Biden capable of handling all this?
Well, you haven't seen any evidence thus far that would say he is. We're trying to figure out who the decision makers are. If you look at the crisis in Ukraine, Joe Biden's been all over the board on this. He had the press conference where he supposedly misspoke. He had a hands-off approach. Now he's having a hands-on approach with respect to troop buildup. We don't know in Congress where they're going with it. We've heard that Pelosi is wanting to bring a bill this week for foreign aid. I can promise you very few Republicans are going to support any foreign aid for any country right now with all the crises looming. We want to focus on the southern border first. We recognize that there's a huge problem with Russia and Ukraine. We feel like if Russia invades Ukraine, that's going to give China a lot of potential to go in and invade Taiwan, and then it's going to probably put pressure on Iran to go and behave badly. So we recognize the crisis, but we're not going to continue to waste money. We've got a crisis on the southern border, and that should be the #1 priority for the Biden administration.
Also makes you wonder if there's a sanctions package locked and ready to go, if this does happen with the Ukrainian and Russian border. Okay, James Comer, thanks so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.